Who built the most insane AI agent this week?
Whoa.
It's taken like 5 years.
There's just a lot that we had to kind of debug.
403.
We reset the whole project.
I was like, ah!
That's when it all went downhill.
Who do you guys think should win Google Cloud's AI agent bake-off?
What's it gonna be?
You're about to find out.
My vote is...
Hey guys, I'm Daniel. I'm here with a few friends and we've decided to put our coding skills to the ultimate test. We're gonna tackle a huge problem every startup runs into. You have a product but have zero traction. The answer? A go-to-market sidekick for founders. Oh, and also, we're gonna do it in 72 hours. Right away, you could see our different strategies emerge. Mohammed and Io figured out a super clean way to keep context flowing between their agent. Zach and Laxmi were basically doing inception building agents that call a sub-agent which calls a sequential agent. But me and Luis, we actually built an 80K agent to teach us how to even use the agent development kit in the first place. 3 teams, 3 totally different approaches, all starting from the same powerful framework. And now, we're gonna show you exactly how we made it happen. Before we can even present our projects, Abe hits us with a surprise challenge. Here we go.
The goal really of this is to challenge your agent with real life scenarios that you see day to day. We've laid out 6 distinct challenges. Can they successfully deploy their agent to a live public endpoint? Can they expose their tools via the model context protocol? Can they open for direct collaboration using the agent to agent protocol or simulate 1,000 concurrent users hitting their endpoint? 2 hours on the clock starts now.
Hello, my friend. ¿Cómo estás? It is so good to see you.
My name is Daniel Efres. I am a 3rd year at the University of Central Florida.
And my name is Luis, and I'm a customer engineer here at Google Cloud, and this is my 3rd AI agent bake-off.
I thought you had ads on your website.
No, that's like the actual generated, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I was like, wow, you guys are monetizing already.
We should though. I tackled the multimodal because I thought, oh, that's gonna take me 5 minutes. The image is gonna input and then it should append the transcribed text into the actual response and then it gets sent to the research agent that we have. And then once we have that, it moves on to the next section, which it actually has like a strategy brief, which is like readable. So like this report outlines the strategic foundation for EcoConnect, the mobile application, and that's exactly what was on the image beforehand.
Whoa, okay. Just to enable multimodal, what was the thing that you had to do?
But I have like an actual image input right here and I can just add whatever I want.
You didn't change the model?
We were using Flash already.
Right,
Oh, okay.
exactly, yeah. I also tackled the A2A because honestly, I just found it interesting.
Oh, you got A2A.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
seeing there is the model card being displayed, so you can see you just go
cool.
to that
Okay.
URL.
This is the actual file that I'm wrapping it with. And then I just hooked that up with my agent and it pretty much ported it to A502 and that was it. That was the 2 that I saw that I'm like, okay, that's easy. And then now it's like, I don't know. 1,000 unique users over a short period. What about no? But I was so stressed out for like I got like 2 of the challenges working. The 3rd one just wasn't working and I was like, nah, like it's over. Do you want to do the deployment we were talking about before? I'm like, okay, what do you think we should do? And he's like, oh, I know how to deploy it. And I'm like, all right, cool.
ADK has a handy dandy deploy option, and so you can just tell it Cloud Run, pass along a project ID, and boom.
You have 25 minutes, so we're just waiting for this to deploy.
Yeah.
It's taken like 5 years.
Oh, nah, that's too much.
I almost cried when I got the final thing.
Oh, no, me
working.
too. Yeah, no.
I was like, ah!
I'm Mohammed. I'm a developer and I lead a machine learning team at a startup.
Hi, I'm Io Adedeji. I show developers how to solve problems in their code using Google's AI.
How do you guys feel for the A2A one?
You add a wrapper, you add a few imports, you can easily create a host script.
That is a value prop of ADK, right?
Yeah,
The A2A protocols there.
Even though the ADK was just released in June earlier this year, it's actually really fully featured and the engineers behind the scenes have really done a lot of work to kind of think about what developers need. I would say it's a lot more seamless than you would expect. Which one do you feel most comfortable with?
We can do the MCP, I think. The way our system works is a multi-agent system, right?
Yeah.
So one of them is specialized for visual identity and it creates visual assets. There were a couple of different tools that visual agent would use, right? I took those tools, wrapped them in an MCP server, and the other server is running independently, and then the agent is able to communicate with that. And then
Oh, you guys didn't use fast MCP?
No, we
Oh,
just
you
use
guys
the-
just
the-
built
the-
it
the
yourself.
direct, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
very cool.
right.
And then if you guys were to want to put more of your tools, you would just
Yeah.
do it right here.
Exactly, right?
Okay.
Done.
Yeah.
MCP, we got that. A2A A2A, we got that. I think we're in a really good position.
Yeah.
We did multimodal.
Oh, you guys already built that?
Yeah, so if you come over here to our website, superpowers.org.com, you can log in. So this is our onboarding page. We want it to feel like a real startup. I log in, it's grabbing my name, IO, continue. We want people to feel like they're becoming superheroes when they use our app. So essentially you can upload a photo. I'm just gonna use my current Google photo, and then it's gonna transform me into a superhero. And that's me.
Very cool.
I'm a superhero.
Oh, you just built it now?
Yeah,
Oh,
put the
okay.
finer layers in, yeah.
I'm Zach, I'm a full stack engineer.
I'm Laxmi, I'm a field solutions architect.
As we're going through the challenges, the server, okay, that's a bit of a problem. I'm getting this error when I try to run it. Why won't anything run? When we got the MCP figured out, all right, great, we're cooking, we got this. This is our MCP server.
We use fast MCP to convert this function to a tool. So it's basically for generating images because we do have something called a social media agent. It uses Nano Banana to generate images.
Got it. So now with the MCP, you could trigger that same agent?
Yes.
Okay. Well, congrats, you finished one.
Yes.
It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears
Yeah.
to get here. We got this. We're gonna be great. A2A is basically going to be the same thing. Lakshmi's got this.
So we have a ICP agent.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a A2A agent. Super sleek. Just add this one line.
Just one line to get it ready for agents to agent to communicate.
Yes.
I'll rate you up. Congrats.
Nice.
Thank
We got this. We can do this. That's when it all went downhill. I think I should be able to do the load test. I just need to figure out why this is refusing my connections. I go to the load balance and then I start running into issues once again. Issues that I shouldn't be having, but
You're like, it works, but not really. Okay.
it just gives me a 403 every single time. I ran the script, that worked, but I just kept getting 403 errors. Just for whatever reason, the app said it's not allowed. Sorry.
8 minutes left.
It's down to the wire. I'm sitting there stressing out, staring at my computer. I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to make it work. 403, 403, 403. I think that's a test, no?
Okay, I did say 80% have to pass. Run 1,000 users.
Okay.
Daniel Luis has done the multimodal, the A2A, and the deployment. I and Mohammed did MCP server, the multimodal input, and the A2A as well. And last but not least, Lakshmi and Zach, the MCP, A2A, and multimodal as well. I think we have to do the countdown.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yep.
It's gonna take the entire countdown for my thing to even start.
I'll count very slowly. 10,
I tried. Could not get it to work.
7,
Seems normal speed to me.
6,
Yes, a little fast, I would say. Whoa, put your hands down.
4,
23.
3,
You see, so
42.
it's deploying to Agent Engine. You can see, you can view progress
2.
logs, and we have the Agent Engine
Okay,
running.
open the URL. So you guys got 4.
A2A, MCP, deployment, and the multimodal.
You guys did win regardless. You guys got 4. So congrats. And now we move to the demos.
There's just a lot that we had to kind of debug, but we actually got it working. It was pretty smooth sailing from there.
IO brings a really good expertise in ADK. I more think about the product side. So I think there was a really good match of expertise.
So this challenge is a little different from the first 2 episodes.
You need to build an agent that is going to help founders build strategies, go to market.
They pretty much gave us like 72 hours to work on it before we got here.
The twist was do it virtually, and then you're going to demo it.
Obviously, this is a unique way of doing a hackathon. What are some things that developers should get from this?
If you go deep dive into the code, you'll really understand the different agent orchestrations. When you talk about multi-agent apps, 2 things that matter is the orchestration, how these agents work together, and the second thing is context, how the context is shared between agents.
I think what you can really take home is the reasoning in order to play with this agentic pattern.
And you understand what are the different type of agent that ADK can build, and when you want to put human in the loop, what are the costs, how do you do the trade-off?
Hello, judges.
Hello, judges. We're presented with this problem about pretty much generating anything that could help a startup get to where it wants to be. We made this app called Go-to-Market Forge. It's the forge for anything that you'll need to go to the market, right? You put your input of whatever idea you have. With that, we essentially make everything that somebody will need, including an ad video of your idea, a PRD, different assets like a logo, and an actual hosted website as well. So the user input goes in, and then this is put into a deep research agent, which loops around and finds out pretty much everything from competitors that have already done the same thing, what their strategies were, how they succeeded, different resources that they might be able to use, like pain points that they should really try and target. And so that report will go to an actual ideation agent, which creates an actual brief. I think something that's looked over is just like the different types of agents that you can make.
Make sure that you have a legitimate problem that you're trying to solve, and then take the technology that's available to you, break down all the complex steps into smaller processes, sub-processes, and then go ahead and implement.
We have a few parallel agents that are all running at the same time. For example, you have a limit of 8 seconds with VO, and so we have to like stitch it all together. So it'll be like a 30-second ad, and creating 4 or 5 different videos takes a pretty long time. And so we thought we could optimize that by running them all parallel at the same time. If you can recognize how we did, we have all this stuff that takes like 15 minutes to load, and we can just have them running in parallel. It's very helpful.
Yeah, if the agent ran sequentially, it would probably take about an hour for it to complete.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that it can run in about 15 minutes is itself a dramatic improvement in terms of performance. So we talked already about how the deep research agent uses a looping construct, right? And it's actually 98% based on the full stack agent that's in the ADK samples.
Yeah.
And I want to call out whoever developed that, thank you very much. That was amazing. So let's go ahead and see it in action.
To talk a little bit about this design before we even go forward, these are all different assets and mockups that have been created by this platform. I hop on a call with Luis and I show him what I've done. And then he tells me, you can just implement the ADK web as your front end. He told me and I'm like, oh nah, like I'm switching this right now. Like we reset the whole project. Luis is gonna put in an idea, an Uber for pet walking and sitting called Puppy Promenade. And so once we submit this, we have like different stages to this. They'll all highlight as they're like happening. We have like an actual asset server to where all these assets are gonna be uploaded into whatever session we're in right now, where I would just see it live pretty much as it's being created.
So now I'm going to switch actually to a more complete version, if I may, for a moment. This is a previous run because it takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the whole process to run, even using parallel agents. We mentioned that the flow basically starts with deep research, right? And so we generate a deep research report. This is the report that talks about the market. Once we do that, we can then create the brief. And the brief is really...
It's like the backbone.
Right, I was going to say, yeah, it includes an executive summary. This is used by every sub-agent, right? So it is stored in the state, and every sub-agent is going to use the brief as its canonical source of truth. And then from there, the fan-out begins, and we start generating all these other sub-assets. Here we generated 4 mockups. So here's the screens for our app, various different screens in the user journey. As you can see, they're properly labeled so that we know what they mean. These clips can be stitched together to create a longer clip. We're going to have our content, voiceover if necessary, and so these things are going to be covered in here. In this case, we're browsing them one by one, but you get the basic idea. Also, we mentioned that we are going to spec out a website, and so we start with a spec and then the code gets generated. And so the spec is right here talking about the various sections of the page. It creates this preview for you right here. It incorporates all the different assets that we previously generated, everything ready to go, including a value proposition. And in this particular case, context was a little messed up, and so we got rickrolled by the models. And it actually decided to put in Rick Astley, which is probably a copyright violation, so we're maybe going to stop it right here. So you get the basic idea there, and that is effectively GTM Forge, your expert for starting a startup.
Daniel and Luis, they had their application generate a static website. I loved that.
I'm curious, how do you handle the result for the parallel agent? Do you simply store everything to like Google Storage or like locally? Do you have a synthesized agent so that you can manage the result of PRD and to the mockup? Or how do you handle the result for the parallel agent?
First, we make extensive use of state variables. So the output of one agent is going to be stored inside a state variable, but on top of that, they all have a shared mechanism for storing the artifacts into the preview server. The preview server is using local storage.
So you basically store the result for the parallel agent.
The parallel agent, all it does is just kind of say, I'm going to launch all these sub-agents in parallel. So it's really the sub-agents that are responsible for saving their state via callback. Under most circumstances, the image generator, which is itself a loop, right, uses after model callback to save and persist images. The agent that we developed is probably the most sophisticated one that I've had the pleasure of working on, right? Super proud of the work that we've done in order to produce this really sophisticated set of agents and sub-agents.
Hey judges, we are building Superpowers. It's our AI-assisted go-to-market strategy builder that will take you through every step of the journey. This system works in 3 simple steps, but these are very crucial to our agentic system. In the first step, we have clarification. So we want to get to know the founders beyond what they're building. It's like a team member that you can actually brainstorm with. After that, we run a comprehensive analysis. We look at competitors who are in the market, what exactly they're doing, what type of strategy they have. We adopt a data-driven approach. So rather than relying on an LLM to come up with something, we actually look at an AI go-to-market playbook, which we're going to show later. Then it generates a very comprehensive report, and we generate assets, images, even fully automated ads that the founders can use in a deployable website. So now we're going to talk about the architecture of how this is being done.
As Mohammed was mentioning, so our phase 0 is when the founder first interacts with the go-to-market agent. Essentially, depending on the tone and the way the founder presents the information, the go-to-market agent may ask clarifying questions. Oftentimes, you want to make sure that you control how agents operate. So we have an approval gate using the ADK action confirmation function to essentially confirm that the founder wants to move to the next stage of deep research. The reason why we're doing that is deep research is a little bit compute intensive. You always want to make sure that you're doing the right thing at the right time. Diving into the research and analysis, we have multiple loops running in parallel. We have a competitive analysis phase. We have a monetization strategy phase, a visual optimization loop phase, a target, local, and demographics loop agent phase, as well as a thought leader analyzer phase. And essentially what these loop agents are doing is in parallel, they're using the Google search tool to essentially do one loop, find answers across multiple questions, and essentially for those answers that you couldn't find, feed that back to state so the next iteration can then find it and then build on that answer. And that all feeds into a sequential pipeline where essentially we have an outreach channel optimization agent that consolidates all that information and then gives back the consolidated approach for the product launch.
This is a playbook developed by experts. And the idea is rather than relying on our own prompts, we actually provide this as a knowledge base. If we go down, we can actually see there are different segments of products and what has worked before and what hasn't worked. So we take all this knowledge and feed that into our market strategy development agent that is going to come up with marketing channels for us.
So as we know, context engineering is really important. It's not just about the power of your model, it's how you present information and with what context. So once we complete the research, we trigger level 2, which is essentially product launch, where we generate a website and we generate multiple assets. So you go from an idea to a full product launch with a website. We're now going to walk you through the onboarding workflow. So what we do here is we collect a lot of context about the founder, so that when the founder is interacting with the agent, essentially a lot of that is pre-baked as part of the context. So the agent can provide really refined details and responses.
Here we're actually using Nano Banana to create a pretty neat looking superhero avatar for the user.
Yeah, so it's taking my Google profile photo, which was retrieved through Firebase Auth, and like that, by using superpowers, I'm a superhero. And with that, I will put on my mask because when you use superpowers, you turn into a superhero. And let's go. So we continue. We're a small team. We founded this year.
So all of this goes into the context of the agent when it's doing research.
Yeah, all context engineering. We're based in San Francisco. It's a complete setup. While you're onboarding, we're actually also triggering a lot of things behind the scenes using the power of Google Cloud. So we have this cloud task queue, for example, that triggers VO tasks based off of the image that you upload.
So rather than you waiting for a screen that is loading or task that is even completed, we wanted to make it very interactive.
While your analysis is going, so you can go get coffee and kind of just take a break, because even superheroes need breaks. But let's go ahead and just dive into the interaction. So I'm going to say something like, I am thinking of building a virtual reality eyewear. Immediately, it's going to start asking me clarifying questions. Gen Z, stylish, lightweight, fill in the gaps. So it's filling in a lot of the details for me, doing a lot of the initial research. I'm going to say, go ahead and kick off. Remember, we have an action confirmation gate. So yes, and this is going to go ahead and kick off the cascade of multiple parallel agents running monetization agent, the competitive analyzer agent. We have the ICP analyzer agent, the ideal customer profile agent. We can take a look at the events. So at this part of the pipeline, we have our thought leadership analyzer that's actually kicking off the loop. This takes some time. It takes 5 to 10 minutes. So we're actually going to go ahead and show you a completed run. And at the end of it, you're going to get your first 100 users outreach strategy executive summary. So we have our target personas, the priority channels, week by goals, and so on. As part of this as well, you get a bunch of assets. Let's go over here to products. And we also converted this to a commercial using VO3.
Since we're using Nano Banana generate images, you can actually customize those, right? So you can bring in your own logos and stuff like that. This also deploys the website for you.
Superpowers.work/products essentially gives you a really nice template for your website. So this is where you'd put some of that ad copy, put in some of the images that were generated, but here is giving you the templates, and then you can go ahead and order. So we hope that we've converted you to believers in superheroes. They do exist. And as part of that, we have some gifts for you. And so...
Thank you, man. I can get the red one.
Red one, good.
Do we need to wear those?
Wardrobe.
We also have superpowers.
They didn't get to fully implement it, but I could see the vision. The little GIF recycling of you as a superhero, like chilling with your coffee or like flying through the air. And the idea was that was going to be the loading screen. That's a fun way to make the time go rather than just like staring at like a spinner.
Based on the context that you're collecting, I would be super curious and interested to understand like how that context is helping you to inform decisions on the loop conditions instead of having it as a static 1, 2, or 3 loops.
Rather than it just being a deterministic loop, we have the agent and we instruct it to kind of look for certain things. So it essentially gives us a lot of flexibility to kind of define when the agent should stop. And the way we're essentially managing context is through state injection. The ADK has, I think it's called injection providers, where essentially you can inject state directly into the agent context. So we have prompts for each agent that we're using, like launch page creator. So you can see that here we are taking variables from the level 1 analysis. So it's taking competitive research, visual research, ICP research, and it's injecting it in as part of the instruction for the agent.
You talked about context ingestion, where whatever output you're getting, you just inject that output. And you talked about context rot. So how are you managing the balance between those?
Okay, now, so there are two components, right? One is if it was a sequential agentic loop, right? We would start with agent 1, whatever the results are and whatever the instructions were, they were going to go to agent 2, right? And then agent 3 and 4, right? So basically you're bloating the context. We're not doing that. What we are doing is agent 1 pass on the results, and then agent 2 basically has that context rather than whatever the outputs of the tool calls were. So that's why we're like very selective in terms of what actually gets passed on. Through this process, I learned a lot about ADK itself and its capabilities. Agent orchestration is way easy, especially they're building these new tools into it. Having IO on the team with his expertise, I got to learn a lot more.
Hello, judges. We have this great product that we really believe in, but we don't have any customers and we have no idea how to get those customers. Why don't we just create an agent to do it for us? So we built it. This is Launchpad. Launchpad is your AI go-to-market strategist for early stage startups. It takes your product idea, it will do the product analysis, the market research, it will create your ideal customer profile, and then it will generate go-to-market strategies based off of everything that it's sort of compiled. It will give you, the user, the option of choosing the right go-to-market strategy that is right for you, and then it will generate assets for you to use. It'll generate reports, it'll generate images, it'll generate everything that you need to use in order to go out there, get your first 100, get your first 500 customers without having to spend all that time doing your own research. It will generate reports, it generates media images, everything that you need to know. So let's say our product idea, we are really into shoes and we want to create a new shoe startup called Airsoft. So it's going to start our analysis, and then it's going to ask some follow-up questions. So I have some stuff here. Let's say our shoes are going to be comfortable. We're targeting everybody who has, wide feet. Our key assumptions are people who want their shoes to fit without having to go and hunt down that exact shoe. People who are extremely tall, they got to find specifically size 15 or 16 shoes. We're going to submit our answer. And what's happening in the background right now is our root agent, now that it's asked our questions, it's gotten all the information it needs, it's going to launch this sequential agent. This sequential agent is running a product analysis agent, the ICP agent, and then the go-to-market agent. Each one of these agents all share this search agent. This search agent is used by product analysis, ICP, or go-to-market in order to do the Google research, in order to do the deep research to compile our go-to-market strategies. So while that's happening, it goes through each one by one, and then it's going to save its output into the session state. So you can see in the ADK web that this is the market analysis, we've got the ICP, the demographics, and then here are the go-to-market strategies, which are presented to the user here. So it's finished its analysis, it's given us a go-to-market strategy that it recommends, and it weights each option how best it fits our specific product idea. Let's just go ahead with the recommended option. So now what's happening here is now that it's given control back to the user, it's gone back to this root agent here, and we've chosen our go-to-market strategy, it's gone to this Launchpad kit agent. So now it's compiling everything and creating a single Launchpad kit to help us get started. So it's going to start with this social post agent. Basically what it's done is it said, all right, given all of the things that we know about this startup idea based on the research and the go-to-market strategy, we're going to create a social media image. We're going to write a prompt. We're going to send it to the user, see if they like it. We do, so we're going to go ahead and improve and generate. So now it's gone back to the Launchpad kit agent and it's generating this image. Once it's done with that, it's going to go to our validation plan agent. And what that is going to do is it's going to take all of the data it's compiled and create a 1-month validation plan step by step. So you know each week what you need to do to implement all the stuff that it's given you. And you can see here that it's going to step through each one of these things and give you the process. And then after that, it'll go to our image and video generation agent. This is where it's going to generate any assets that it deems are necessary. And then once it's done with that, it's going to put all of that in one folder, zip it up, and download it for the user.
While that is happening, we'll kind of go through the ADK web and then show you kind of, what's kind of happening behind the scenes.
It's created like a landing page copy, an email blast to sort of get your customers. And you can see that it's from the validation plan agent and then the Launchpad kit agent. Let's check up here. Download kit is ready. So let's go and open that up and we can see our product analysis, our ideal customer profile, our go-to-market strategy, our validation plan, and then we have some images here we can use in our social media blast to sort of gather our customers. That is Launchpad. All of the things that would have taken us weeks, months, all that money and effort and time that we'd have sunk in, we have done that in a couple minutes. Now we know exactly what we need to do to go out and get our new customers. And that is Launchpad. Are you ready to invest in us?
The approach that we took was like build these small parts. If it has a problem, we could just cut that branch off and the whole part would still work. It has to be as simple as possible. And I think with ADK and with our approach, we were able to do that.
I get the point of having a search agent that is shared amongst all the others. But I also know that sometimes it's a little bit confusing to use an agent as a tool rather than using sub-agents. So can you clarify a little bit why you didn't use this agent as a tool in this particular scenario?
It actually is an agent tool. So the idea being that each agent retains context over the Google search that it's doing. So the product analysis agent here, when or if it actually does need to do Google research because it doesn't have enough knowledge on its own for whatever the founder's product idea is, we'll use the search agent as an agent tool so it can retain context and then save whatever the research is to the session state variable, which is product analysis, and same with the ICP agent, and same with the go-to-market agent if it does need to do additional research. So it retains context rather than passing that context to a search agent.
And then if we kind of look at it, for the Launchpad agent, we're using the whole sequential agent as an agent tool, right? So it still has control. So there's only one level. We are transferring the control into the search agent and then getting it back.
This is probably a very common experience for every engineer who starts a new project or a framework that they've never used before. I feel like we don't really read documentation all that well, and then we need to start Googling stuff because something is not working. And then the answer happens to be in the documentation. Read the documentation, all of it first, and then maybe dive in. At least that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
that's what I've been thinking. Yeah.
Who do you guys think should win Google Cloud's AI Agent Bake-Off? Luis and Daniel.
They have the best presentation. They deliver the message clearly. I can say, okay, the goal of this hackathon was to build GTM Forge.
The guys were like super excited. They're super confident about what they were building, but their generation was separate. They're generating images and mockups at the same time. So when you do that, you lose consistency. That was the biggest drawback.
Io and Mohammed.
I think they spend more time on thinking how to build a multi-agent system. So I really appreciate that.
When we ask their design question, like how do you balance the trade-off? Their answer shows that they actually put a lot of thoughts with the design.
Laxmi and Zach.
One thing to learn here is we don't always have to complicate the agentic pattern. They use a very simple agentic pattern, sequential pattern, but even that gave them very decent, very good result.
Sometimes you can solve the problem even with a single agent, with a very simple multi-agent. You don't have to overcomplicate things to achieve something that could have been done easily.
GTM Forge versus the Superpower team versus the Launchpad team. Who's your vote?
All teams push themselves to use multi-agent architecture. So that's something that I think we should value.
What's it gonna be?
I will choose team 2.
I'll go with Daniel.
Ani, you're gonna be our tiebreaker.
My vote is...
Congratulations everyone for competing in episode 3 of Google Cloud's AI Agent Bake-Off. But sadly we can only have one winner, and the winner for today's challenge is... The winner of today's challenge also is going to get 3,000 Google Cloud credits. So congrats, Mohammed.
I think they thought about every possible angle. They had a very comprehensive solution.
I think with the tools that we have right now, if you use them properly, you can build very complex systems.
When you're looking at what we're building and you see like the end product, it looks really complex, but the ADK makes things a lot more straightforward than you would think.
The best way to learn ADK is to look at the ADK source code.
Build it yourself. It's much easier to understand and figure out what you're doing if you start from scratch.
Once you actually learn this stuff and like really get familiar with it, you could just start having fun with it. It was quite an experience, to say the least. I gotta get some sleep though.
My name is Armando, spelled with an A, followed by 5 R's.
Mind you, we get on call, first time talking to him. He's like, so is it Daniel or Daniel? Just like that. And I'm like,